which we can say. But if you look in terms of the disposal by the examiners, our examiners are examining more applications than any like EPO and US, European, and these patent offices. So it is not that our examiners are not working; they are even overburdened, but the number is not sufficient, which can meet the challenges of the filing and pendency. At present, there are 200 examiners which are working at right now, and 90 controllers to dispose of the applications, and the examination report of 200 examiners. And now recently we have taken up the new recruitment of new examiners, and this process is going to complete very soon by end of this November. We are going to have 459 regular patent examiners and 263 examiners on contractual basis. And the examination process, the first part was over in September, and the main examination already held on 1st of November, and the final result is expected by 25th of November. After that, they will be going for the training, and this is the field-wise strength of our examiners. And as Mr. Lutz said, that the European system and Indian patent system are more or less same, but I will say it's not same but similar footing, and there are some minor differences, like we have a per se, whereas in EPC it is as such, software as such. And we normally we don't go by the interpretation of technical effect. It's clear from our now in the new guidelines that we have gone to the standard of the technical advancement or economic significant in terms of the improvements or in the inventive step in the invention. So there are some still differences in the interpretation. Sometimes the practices of the inventive step, like European Patent Office, they go by problem solution approach, where we have some other approach. I mean, the examining the step by step of the differences between if the invention is novel. And the new guidelines which are issued, they make it very clear to evaluate the inventive step, the 4 or 5 steps we have now clearly laid down in the guidelines, how these computer related inventions are going to be evaluated for patent. And it's not that we, in the meantime, we have also taken several steps to make the office very transparent, and so that the applicants are benefited from the actions which we have taken. Like one of them is the comprehensive e-filing system, through which most activities are now being undertaken through e-filing. And when it started, it was only 7 to 10%, and when actually 2013 it was only 28%, and now today it is 86% applications are filed through online system. So that is a huge increase, reducing the burden of the patent office also, and that has happened because of the introduction of the e-payment gateway, comprehensive e-payment gateway, where we have introduced the 70 odd banks to make the payment, including the debit card and credit cards. So I think this is being used, I think, at very large scale, and I hope the day is not very far when we receive around 90 to 95% application online, except few the rural areas where the e-filing or online system still not available. So we hope this is going to increase drastically. We have also incentivized the fee system, 10% rebate on online Even now, the big companies like Ericsson and other thing, they direct their attorneys. No, you file online. The amount is 10%, but it's a big boost for them. So most attorney they come, no, you make we want to file online. Even at they face some problem at the, even at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, our people at help desk help them to ensure that they are assisted and their problems are resolved. And we have also a new small entity where the fee concession is given to the extent of 50% to the small scale industries. And we also put in place the quality management system in processing the patent applications. And these are the some actions which are available on real-time basis of status of any IP application, weekly publication, free public search, QR code on the communication, instant email when we issue the first action to the applicant. The email also goes so that you are aware that your first action has been received, issued by the patent office. They are very important, some activity like stock and flow, which provide you the pendency at various stages of processing, whether it is examiner or controller, any stage. And dynamic utilities provide you the information, real-time information on the first examination report, disposal of the application, working of patents, and lapse patent. Similar dynamic utilities are also available for trademark. And these are some international cooperation development in the recent past, like Indian Patent Office has started functioning as an international searching and examining authority, and we have already issued around 1,000 international search reports. And I have some feedback that they are being appreciated across the world by many international attorneys. And I want to have a feedback from the participants which are here. And we also started functioning to register the international trademark through Madrid Protocol. And as we have been hearing since morning, we have entered into bilateral cooperation with European Patent Office. Now that includes the exchange of database, and we hope that we are going to have, apart from our own database, and we have also hired database to conduct search. Now we are going to have a GPI from European Patent Office and EPOCnet in future, so that the search is also strengthened to produce a good quality of the search report, and so that they are the proper searches, produced by the examiners. And we are also exchanging training programs, and trainers, and we have a memorandum, the work plan for 2 years, and we hope that that is being implemented within time framework and actively. And apart from the European Patent Office, we have also entered into agreement with Japan Patent Office to exchange the best practices. So, and training of patent examiners.
Madam, I will request you to slightly,
And
because
now this is my last slide. And recently we have published the amendments in the proposed amendment in the patent rules, which are open to the public comment, and in which we have introduced some very, very important things. One of them is the accelerated examination on the ground of manufacturing. If somebody interested to manufacture the patent within 2 years from the date of grant, or his application can be examined on accelerated basis, and within the time frame to examine and to grant is also proposed in the rules, and they will be in a different queue for examination and disposal compared to the normal queue. And the response time is also proposed to be reduced from 12 months to 6 months, so that the final adjudication, whatever disposal, whether it's patent is granted, refused, has to be done quickly. And in order to encourage some of the applicant which way they feel that their invention has lost the interest or they can withdraw their request. There is no provision so far to withdraw the request. There is a provision to withdraw the application but not request. So when somebody withdraw the application, there is no refund. Once you withdraw the request for examination is filed, the fee will be refunded back to the applicant depending on the stage at which he is requesting for withdrawal. And then we have a early examination of divisional application. Presently, the divisional application also come into the normal queue, but now we are introducing that this has to be disposed of within the main patent or within 6 months from the main patent, if already granted. And then time limit now fixed for the patent examiners and also controllers to finally dispose of the application. That we have proposed our 6 months time for the controller from the date of receipt of the response of the first examination report, and if any last reply after hearing. So it has to be disposed of. No, it cannot be kept pending for 3 years or 2 or 4 years or 5 years. So we have put time line for them also, and to make them responsive to work within those timelines. And we have also made a proposal for the attorneys. I mean, they are supposed to have all the infrastructure and everything. So we have proposed that the attorney should file mandatorily online of all the applications in the patent office. And there are some issues relating to the obtaining the priority document to file patent application abroad. So we have introduced the fast track system for them also. And then online transfer of patent applications from one office to another, since all the field of examiners may not be available in one office, so now we have introduced the rule so that this can be transferred to other offices. These are the few things which we are going to introduce. With this, I conclude my presentation. Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right. Dear panelists, ladies and gentlemen, very good afternoon. Though I do have a presentation deck, but I am conscious about the time constraint, and I will not use my presentation deck. The topic for our panel is challenges and opportunities in building a sustainable global IPR ecosystem for promotion of innovation in ICTE sector, information, communication technology and electronics. So I'll dissect each and every word. First I'll talk about what is sustainable ecosystem. Then I talk about what is an inclusive growth plan for a sustainable ecosystem. Then I'll come back and talk about future of ICTE. Then I'll come back and talk about IPR in ICTE and a set of key enablers for that. But sir, I'll complete all those things in 10 minutes. See, the key tenets of a sustainable ecosystem, one simple thing, that how it transforms a service experience. In the inaugural section, Ganpati Nathan spoke about that Uber, that today morning when he came, he took a ride on the Uber. So what Uber has done to all of us? While there is a governance problem regarding the authenticity of the driver, the background of the driver, there are incidents that has happened in India, but still we all prefer to take a Uber car today. In summary, if you look at what Uber has done, the business model, that one of the largest taxi provider in the world and in many countries without owning a car. Number one. Number two, it has created you and me, many of us as entrepreneur. We are an individual doing our own job. In addition to, we drive our own car, and we are also a driver. We have that technical skill, and we have an asset called car, which we can make it available for certain time. So Uber, a model like Uber, has created the entrepreneurship at an individual level or at a small community level, right? So these are the two important business models on which a Uber scheme is thriving and succeeding. So in summary, the digital adoption will create significant such disruption to the business models. Today, if you look at a Flipkart or a Snapdeal in India is gaining the momentum. Today, if you look at Alibaba is one of the largest retailer in the world without having an inventory. If you look at Walmart in 1999 with 138 billion business and Amazon in 1999 with $1.6 billion of business. Today in 2014, Walmart has grown 3.5 times to $484 million business, and Amazon has grown 50 times to a business of $89 billion. More importantly, Amazon, almost 100% is online retailing, whereas Walmart, only 2.5% of business is online retailing. So that means even on a $484 billion of Walmart business, $12.2 billion is only on online, where within this 15 years, Amazon has captured the online market, starting from an online book retailer to an online retailer, Wholesome, Amazon has captured the market. Purpose of sharing this thing is that how we transform the service experience by taking advantage of the technologies that is available to us and the technology that is going to available to us. What does it mean to a government that how they should look at a citizen service? What does it mean to a patent office that how they should take care of inventor community, right? I'll come back and talk about that what could be a possible disruption to a patent office operation. So if you have to have this kind of transformation, you must ensure that how you transform your people, how you transform your processes, and how you transform your set of services and products that you take to the market. And if you have to do that, you must ensure that world is moving as n equal to 1. What is n equal to 1? Each one of us wants to know, each one of us wants to get a feel that we are being uniquely identified and uniquely we have been given offer on a retail store, on a banking, on a telecom, the service that we get it. So while we want that we are uniquely identified, the people who are doing the business or the government who is going to provide the citizen service, they also want to operate with a high degree of efficiency and agility, and they want to bring significant automation. So that means there should be significant mechanization, and there should be, it's all right. There should be significant mechanization, and there should be significant personalization. This orthogonality one can achieve by adopting more and more cognitive intelligence, and making significant service part as self-service. You still feel personalized because the way you drill through the set of services and get served by yourself. So given that, you have to run it as a program with the right strategy, right set of objectives, goals, inclusive planning, and have to create the right platform and deliver that right platform with the right service experience. To have the service experience, think of a Uber, think of a Amazon, think of a Flipkart, think of a Snapdeal, right? Or think of a financial inclusion program of Government of India, Jan Dhan Yojana, right? Finally, what is going to sell is the certain service characteristics. How agile is your service? How efficient is your service? What is the quality that you assure? How it is secured? How it is scalable? How you can rely on it? And is it resilience? If a mistake happens, if a problem happens, how quickly you can recover? And finally, to whom you are providing service? Are you creating an opportunity for those people that they feel independent, they feel freedom? So that's extremely important. So to have this service experience transformed is extremely important to plan for an inclusive growth. That inclusive growth, today morning in the inaugural section we spoke about startup, even Dr. Garg also spoke about startup. It's not that the startup has to happen by a startup company. You can do a startup in government. You can do a startup in large public sector, large private sector like TCS, like Wipro, right? So yesterday we are building general managers. Yesterday we are building delivery managers, sales leaders, delivery leaders. You build entrepreneurial leadership team in your organization. Okay, you found entrepreneurs, right? So that is very important. Even I have gone ahead and said in the public on my CIO magazine published in the September that to embrace sustainable ecosystem, enterprises has to develop a startup culture in promoting innovation and a fast track process to transform the intellectual property into products and services. I keep on telling that while patent itself has a value, one of the major form of IP, but then important value to the society at large is how you convert that the originality or the novelty of that patent into an offering in terms of products and services that somebody, a human being like us, can really consume, feel it, and see it. That's where the multiplicative value will come. And to do that thing, Rome was not built in one day, right? And hence, everybody has to have that patience, but agility of doing things. How you ideate, how you research, how you innovate, how you convert it to IP, how you convert it to offering to take it to the market, and finally, look at the outreach. What kind of socio-economic value that it created in the marketplace, and continuously get the market insight to think through that what is the next cycle of ideation. So with this, I'll come back and I'll talk about the future of ICT industry. I repeat, ICT again, information, communication technology, and electronics. One of the very important thing I wanted to share with you, that we are fortunate that working in IT industry, significant investment is happening from governments of the world and the private entities of the world. But today, in the communication industry, investment is happening. I'm not telling investment is not happening. My colleague is there from Ericsson. Okay, so investment is happening, but not that investment is happening in the order of information technologies, right? It required more investment on communication. And finally, on electronics, it is a complete drought for last 15 years. No investment worldwide, any country, any nations, any private sector are doing significant investment on electronics, semiconductor chips, okay? And hence it's extremely important for any organization or any country to look into that what kind of further investment that can be done in the electronics industry, right? There is nothing called we have reached the Moore's law, nothing more can be done. That statement is not true. And here I request DIT to see that how government can be influenced. If government thinks of make in India, we missed the first wave in 1980-85 in building significant semiconductor capability in India, but today we can think of the future, right? Creating significant IP in the semiconductor industry and creating the future of semiconductor business worldwide. So when I say that thing, there are some of the important transformational vectors. One is the digital aspect, the digital aspect of economy. When I say digital aspect of economy means what? The example of Uber that we gave, right? How it is empowering the individuals like you and me and giving a feeling like that we are entrepreneurs. Yesterday, you know that the cooperative banks in India, all of them are struggling to make good business. And in fact, many of the cooperative banks, we don't trust too much because you don't believe on the governance of those cooperative banks. But today, if Prime Minister's Jan Dhan Yojana was mega success in last 12 months, it is those cooperative banks which has taken to the last mileage significantly, not taking credit out of the public sectors and the large private banks. And purpose of telling this thing what? What is a cooperative bank? It's a small community which has the ability to reach out to the mass, but they need to be governed, okay? They need to be governed, and that governance is provided by the digital framework. So when we talk about digital economy, that's where the empowerment can come to the individuals or the small communities. It will throw data significantly. Going forward tomorrow, no enterprise, no government will have their data of their own on which they can make business decision. They have to rely on the plethora of data available worldwide, okay, and analyze it to take the best decision, and that's where the data economy has to be developed. There will be significant governance aspect that need to be looked into. The cyber resilience, that's very important. We have to have right cyber security. Whatever you do, there will be nuisance values, there will be crime, cyber crime will happen, but the trust will come if the ability to recovery is very fast. So that's where the cyber resilience is very important. Internet of Things, supply chain vulnerability, materials and manufacturing innovation, and finally, the way the intellectual property will be managed. So given that, more important thing is the business disruptive models, the policy landscape, which need to be changed on a very fast track, the trade barriers, how it need to be analyzed and removed as appropriate, jobs and social disruption, and digital skills gap. That's very important. Look, the digital adoption is definitely going to reduce some jobs and create some new jobs in different geography, different market, different technologies, different subject area. While we all agree that the digital disruption will be a net job creator, but that net job creator is not some simple. When you look at the socio-economic balance, some your job will go away, some your job will get created. How that movement is going to happen, how that reskilling has to happen, how that rebadge has to happen is also extremely important. For example, so given that, I'll come back and talk about what is the opportunity and challenges in the area of ICTE, in intellectual property. The new business opportunities around new business models, technology-enabled service experience and assurance, pervasive computing and ubiquitous access, elastic infrastructure, that's what we talk about, cloud, cognitive automations. There are many, many things. One of the very important thing is digital literacy. If you are doing a digital transformation, the technology advancement to going to the mass, then we have to make our people digitally literate. You'll be happy to know that DIT has a mega plan called DISA. Under DISA program, they have a target to bring digital literacy to 50 lakhs people by the year 2020. But what they did, you know, first time probably in the government. They decided 2020 is too late. Let us do it by 2016. So the 52 lakhs digital literacy that they want to achieve, which they committed to do it by 2020, now they have recommitted to do it by 2016, 52 lakhs. And they already have a program of 18 lakhs currently going on. Is that correct, Dr. Gar? Yeah, so that's very important. In the same way, if you look at the opportunity from a patent office point of view, you know, every organization, every corporate, every government, they run with some sort of a dominating principle. Disrupting to that dominating principle is the disruption. Why a patent will take 7 years to get granted, 6 years to get granted? What takes for patent to get granted? An examiner has to effectively do a prior art search. Today, with the information really available on the fingertips, how much time an examiner takes to do a prior art search? If an examiner has to consume 160 hours of effort to finally grant a patent or reject a patent with 3-4 office action, if that's a number, why that 160 hours of effort from that examiner will take 6 years' time? Why not in the 3 months' time? 3 months' time has more than 160 hours. So that's the disruptive thinking that we have to bring in. That as a patent office, if we think that yes, IP is very important, innovator has to be encouraged, and IP should drive the business growth, societal growth, economic growth, patent application should be published in 3 months' time. Patent first office action should come in 1 year time. Every office action should not take more than 6 months' time. If a patent is getting granted within 3 to 4 office action, should be done within 2.5 hours time, 2.5 years time. That's the way patent office should look into it. It's a disruption of thought process now they have to bring, question them, may be true, may not be true, but who says that after 20 years it could be true? And if after 20 years it's going to be true, why not tomorrow? The way that IT has said that 2020, 52 lakhs is no more good enough, we should do it in 2016, 52 lakhs. So that's the way you need to look at it. Challenges are many. Well, I'll put up few challenges. Striking the right balance between open and protected IP is critical for innovation to flourish. The issue is clouded by age-old practices and wide discrepancies in the ability and willingness of different countries to enforce patent protections. While ICT is becoming the backbone of everything, the debate on computer-implemented invention and lack of uniformity of its interpretation is in major jurisdiction. It's a problem. We'll talk about IT is the backbone. Then when it comes to computer-implemented invention, everybody gives a dirty look. Why? We are theft. We are thief. It should not be like that. Okay, if everything that you do today, it is software defined. actual beauty lies on the software. And then, hence, as a policy maker, as a market, people should respect this thing and should fast track these things. And I fully